What has been the message of this last sort of century and a bit? What's been the message? Very, very simple. God doesn't exist. Man has the answer to everything. Trust the science. Trust the experts. Are you a doctor? Hello, you very special people and peopleettes. How are you doing? Today I'm talking about the heart and the mind and which one we should pay attention to. I'll tell you all about it on the other side. So the other day I asked the emissaries about how they read the energies, because I was asking, they'd always given me an update on the energies, and I said to them, how do you read them? And they said, we look into people's hearts. And I said, not into the minds. And they said, well, not really, into the hearts. And I was wondering whether they meant the literal heart or the energetic heart. And that's what I asked them. I said, are you talking about the literal heart you're looking into or the energetic, heart? And they said both. And it made me think about the work that's been done on heart math. I think there's a heart math university or academy or whatever. And they do all of this work measuring the energy that comes from the heart. And it's enormous. The heart gives off energy that goes a long way, further than what we would call our aura or whatever. And they're also finding that when we're with people, our energy, heart energies link up and we communicate that way. And they've also found that the intelligence of the heart is far superior to the intelligence of the brain. So all of this stuff about heart, so it sort of piqued my interest that the emissary said we look into people's hearts to find out the energy and the frequency of what's going on. And of course, it's nothing new. It's not like there's nothing new under the sun, is there? This is not a surprise when you look at the amount of references that we make to our heart when we're talking about all kinds of situations. In fact, I looked some up. Think of these expressions, right? When we're talking about these are core expressions that we use to refer to our heart, and we say, follow your heart, listen to your heart, trust your heart, let your heart guide you, go with your heart, speak from the heart, lead with your heart, have a change of heart, have a heart-to-heart conversation. We were talking about connection, heart-to-heart conversation, and wear your heart on your sleeve. Cross my heart. So we've got these, and that's just a small amount of all of the expressions that we use about heart. In fact, even the Bible has a little go at talking about the heart. And I think there are three scriptures that stand out to me. In Proverbs, trust in the Lord with all of your heart. It doesn't say trust in the Lord with all of your mind. It says with all of your heart. Another one in Proverbs, every way of a man is right in his own eyes, but the Lord weighs his heart. The emissaries look into people's hearts, and the Lord weighs people's hearts that way. And then another one in Proverbs, which is probably the most popular, the most common, the most well-known. For as he thinks in his heart, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Right, so look at that expression. As a man thinks, right? So you would naturally assume mind in his heart. How can you think in your heart? Well, we talk about it all of the time. So there's obviously something going on here that is far more important than something going on here. Except that over the last century, the baddies have been working very hard to change our mind, quite literally, to change our mind. What has been the message of this last sort of century and a bit? What's been the message? Very, very simple. God doesn't exist. Man has the answer to everything. Trust the science. Trust the experts. Are you a doctor? Are you doing your own research? Don't. Trust the experts. Trust the news. Trust the politicians. Trust me, I'm a doctor. The whole message of our lives, at least, and way beyond, is that you shouldn't think, you shouldn't trust your intuition. Trust the experts. Trust the experts. And didn't we have that hammered into us during the pandemic years? Trust the experts. And even on the TV, they were saying things like, we are aware that people are thinking for themselves. And that is a very, very bad thing. The main focus that the baddies have is to get us from intuition and just get us up here. Just get us accepting. I mean, not even thinking. They don't even want us to think. Because when you think, you start feeling, don't you? I've got a feeling. How many times do we say that? I've got a feeling that something is not right based on what I've seen. You know, Paul McKenna, somebody who I admire greatly, he's done such wonderful work. Paul McKenna used to do this technique, and he would get people to think, to place their attention up here, okay? And then he would push them and they would fall over very easily, had no balance, because all their attention was up here in the head. And then he would get them to move the attention down into the body, into the guts. And then it was really difficult to knock them over. They were so much more solid, balanced, centered. What the baddies try to get us to do is to go high up and stay here, to overthink things, to be trapped in our heads, to get us up here so that we suffer from the analysis paralysis. Not only do they do that, but they always give us conflicting information so that we do get paralyzed in our head because we have conflicting information. We don't know what on earth or where the truth lies, and we're unbalanced. We're easily knocked over. When you have a belief, when you believe something to be true, truly, in fact, I want you to try this with me and say, I want you to use your hands and I want you to point at your body and say, I believe this to be true. I know this to be true, right? Where does your hand go? I tell you where mine goes, and I say, well, I believe this to be true. Where am I putting my hand? I'm not saying I believe this to be true. I haven't seen anybody do that. We don't do it. We say, I know this to be true. Why? Because this is where we carry our knowing. This is where we feel what it is that we believe. And what they want is they want us away from here. This is too dangerous. We're too solid. We can't be knocked over. When you believe something strongly, and you see, look at my hand. I'm not doing this on purpose. This is what we do. When you believe something, look, I've got my hand right over my heart like this, hard. You're unmovable when you believe something. I always find that we say strange things that don't always make sense. Like we'll say, I'll see how I feel. So I'll see with the eyes how I feel with the heart. Yeah? So it's a strange, you never say, I'll feel how I see. And it's like saying, I know in my heart. Much stronger than I know in my head. I know in my head, how many times we say that? Well, I know in my head that it's the right thing to do, but it just doesn't feel right. Yeah. And that's because we've got to follow our hearts. I know in my heart that everything's going to be okay. I know in my heart that everything's going to be fine. Sometimes I have all kinds of weird thoughts. Sometimes I have all kinds of weird doubts in my head. But in my heart, I know. How do you feel in your heart? So don't let the bastards grind you down. Don't let them get you up here. They want you up here with loads of information. Get you thinking all the time. I'll have to get my thinking cap on. No, don't get your thinking cap on. Get your feeling cap on. Follow your intuition. Remember, the emissary said that we are going to have a big, big wave of ability in terms of intuition, our gut feel, and understanding what's going on by feeling. So trust in your feelings, right? Don't let them get you in your head, because when you're in your head, you're easy to knock over. And when you're here, in the heart of the matter, that's when you're strong. Okay, be strong. I love you all, and I'll speak to you all later.